Hey, everybody, and welcome back to Logan's Voice. I'm Doug, Logan's dad. Every time I sit down to record an episode, I think about him. I think about the thousands of young lives just like his that we've lost, and the families like mine who now live with an ache that words can't fully describe. When people talk about the overdose crisis, they usually talk about fentanyl, about the pills, about the traffickers, about the horror of losing someone suddenly. And don't get me wrong, those are critical conversations we need to have. But today I want to go even deeper. Because the truth is, and it's a hard truth, fentanyl isn't the root of the problem. Fentanyl is the weapon. Mental health is the wound. Behind every overdose death, there's almost always a hidden story. A story of pain, of struggle, of silent battles nobody else could see. And far too often, our loved ones are just trying to survive another day in a world that didn't understand what they were carrying inside. If we don't start talking about mental health honestly, about trauma, anxiety, depression, loneliness, then we're not fighting the real war. We're just cleaning up after the casualties. This episode isn't just about my son. It's about all our sons, all our daughters, all our friends, our nieces, our nephews, our neighbors. Because this epidemic isn't just statistics, it's human beings, real people who need help, but instead found heartbreak. Today, I want to talk about what's really fueling this crisis and why this conversation must start with mental health. Let's dive in. But before we can fix what's broken, we have to understand where the cracks first appeared. We have to be willing to ask the harder questions, not just what went wrong, but when did the hurting begin? Because substance use doesn't start with the drug, it starts with pain. And so many times that pain takes root early, in childhood. You know, if you're like me, you probably grew up believing that if a child was loved, taught right from wrong, and given good opportunities, that they'd be okay. That addiction only happened to other people's kids, and the ones from broken homes, the ones who made bad choices, the ones who fell in the wrong crowd. But after losing Logan and meeting hundreds of other grieving families, I know this isn't true. Addiction, overdose, and fentanyl poisoning don't discriminate. They don't care if you come from a good home or a struggling home. They don't care if you made the honor roll or skipped school. They don't care if you had dreams and plans and a whole future ahead of you. What addiction does care about, what it feeds on, is pain. And the truth is, pain doesn't always look how you think it will. It doesn't always show up as bruises or screaming matches. Sometimes it shows up as the quiet kid who never feels good enough, the one who masks their anxiety with humor, the one who internalizes every rejection, every disappointment, every failure, the one who doesn't know how to say, I'm not okay. Logan was a bright, funny, loving soul, but underneath that there was pain he didn't always have the words for. And like so many others, when the world felt too overwhelming, too loud, too heavy, he went looking for a way to turn the noise down. That's how it starts for so many. Not with rebellion, not with bad choices, but with a desperate need to feel something different or to feel nothing at all. And here's the hardest part. Pain ignored becomes pain magnified. When we don't listen to our children's struggles, when we dismiss their depression as just a phase or their anxiety as attention seeking, we leave them to fight their battles alone. And alone is exactly where addiction finds them. You know, there's this idea a lot of people have that using drugs is all about partying, chasing a high, reckless choices. But I've learned something through my own grief and through the stories of so many other families. Most people battling substance use aren't chasing a high, they're chasing relief. They're trying to escape the pain of living inside a mind that feels like it's working against them. The racing thoughts, the heavy sadness, the unbearable anxiety that makes even the simple things feel overwhelming. When you're living with untreated depression, untreated anxiety, or untreated trauma, you don't always want to get high. You just want to stop feeling broken. And when professional help feels out of reach, when therapy is too expensive, when medication is stigmatized, when asking for help feels like weakness, people just start looking for their own solutions. They start trying to survive the only way they know how. Sometimes that survival looks like a drink after work. Sometimes it looks like a pill someone hands them at a party. Sometimes it looks like something they bought on the street because they just couldn't carry the weight one more day. And in today's world, that one decision, that one act of survival can be fatal. Because what's out there now isn't just marijuana. It isn't just party drugs. It isn't even what it claims to be. It's a poison supply. It's fentanyl pressed into fake pills. It's xylazine laced into powders. It's death hiding behind something that looks like relief. Logan didn't wake up one day and decide he wanted to die. He wasn't trying to throw his life away. He was trying to manage pain he didn't always have the tools to handle. And that's what so many people don't understand about this crisis. This isn't about bad kids making bad choices. It's about hurting people trying desperately to feel okay and falling into a trap they didn't see coming. Self-medicating is a survival instinct. A dangerous one, yes. But when you're drowning, you grab anything that looks like a lifeline, even if you don't realize it's weighted with chains. And by the time you realize you're in too deep, sometimes it's too late. Most of us grew up hearing one message, loud and clear. Just say no. That was the golden rule, the billboard slogan, the school assembly anthem. But here's the problem, and I need you to really hear this. You can't just say no to pain you were never taught how to carry. You can't just say no to trauma that's eating you alive. You can't just say no to panic attacks that make you feel like you're dying. You can't just say no to a world that feels too loud, too cold, too cruel, and no one's listening. When someone reaches for a substance, it's not always about rebellion. It's often about relief, about silencing the storm inside. And the message we gave, the one we still give in too many places, is that if someone uses drug, it's a failure of character, a failure of morals, a lack of discipline. We turned addiction into a crime instead of what it really is, a medical, emotional, and spiritual crisis. We handed kids slogans instead of skills. We gave them shame instead of support. And then we act surprised when they fall apart. Let me say this loud for the people in the back. Willpower does not cure depression. A strong moral compass does not protect you from anxiety. Being raised right does not make you immune to trauma. If we want real prevention, we need more than scare tactics. We need emotional education. We need mental health access that isn't buried under red tape or made impossible by cost. We need to stop punishing pain and start healing it. Because no kid, no adult, no human being should have to self-medicate with something deadly just to make it through the day. When Logan was young, we did everything we thought we were supposed to do. We had the talks, we had the boundaries, we loved him fiercely, but we didn't fully understand the depth of his struggle because he didn't know how to explain it, and we didn't know how to ask. And by the time we realized the gravity of what he was up against, it was already in motion. Just say no was never enough, and it never will be. We talk a lot about stopping the supply, stopping the dealers, locking up those bad guys. But let's be honest, if we really want to stop losing our children, healing has to start at home. It starts with the conversations we have or don't have about emotions. It starts the way we respond when a kid says, I'm sad, I'm scared, I'm angry, I feel like I don't matter. Too often we teach kids to bottle it up. Be tough, shake it off, don't let them see you cry. And in doing that, we teach them one thing. Your pain isn't welcome here. We have to flip that. We have to raise a generation of kids who believe deep in their bones that asking for help is not weakness, it's strength. That being human isn't something to hide, it's something to honor. Because the truth is, resilience doesn't mean you never fall apart. It means you have the tools and the support to get back up when you do. And if we can build that kind of foundation early, maybe we can save lives before the streets, before the pills, before the funerals. Healing at home is critical. But if we stop there, we're still fighting with one hand tied behind our backs. Because the truth is, the system is broken too. Right now in America, it's easier to get a bag of fentanyl than it is to get affordable mental health care. Think about that for a second. I'm going to say it again. Right now in America, it's easier to get a bag of fentanyl than it is to get affordable mental health care. Insurance companies make therapy sessions unaffordable for millions. Waiting lists stretch for months. Rural areas have no resources at all. And even when people reach out for help, they're too often met with judgment, bureaucracy, or a system that moves too slowly. If we want to stop the overdose crisis, we have to make mental health care accessible, not a luxury for the privileged. Educate teachers, coaches, clergy, and first responders to spot signs of struggle early. Treat mental health emergencies with the same urgency as physical ones. And end the stigma that tells people their pain isn't real unless it's visible. We cannot arrest our way out of this. We cannot shame our way out of this. We have to heal our way out. That means voting for leaders who prioritize health care, prevention, and education. It means demanding accountability from systems that fail our kids. It means refusing to let this next generation be another casualty of neglect and silence. I know what we talked about today was heavy, and honestly, it should be. Because what we're up against isn't just a drug crisis, it's a mental health emergency that's been quietly building for decades. And with the introduction of opioids, it just exasperated the situation. We lose 300 people every single day to overdose in this country. That's not an accident. That's not just bad luck. That's a system failing, families hurting, and a society still too uncomfortable to talk about real pain. I don't come to you today with all the answers. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a doctor. I'm just a dad who loved his son with everything he had and still lost him to a system that wasn't built to catch him. Logan didn't need judgment. He needed help. He needed healing. He needed it long before drugs ever entered the picture. And there are millions more like him right now, today. Maybe it's your child. Maybe it's your neighbor. Maybe it's your best friend's son, or the kid you coach or teach or see working behind the counter at your favorite coffee shop. If we want to stop burying our children, we have to stop burying our heads in the sand. We have to start building a world where mental health care isn't an afterthought, it's the foundation. Where no one has to self medicate just to survive. Where resilience is taught alongside reading and math. Where no child grows up thinking their pain doesn't matter. We can't save every life. I wish we could. God, how I wish we could. But we can save more. And if Logan's voice can reach even one person, one parent, one teacher, one leader, one lost kid looking for hope, then it's worth every second of this grief. Thank you for being here with me today, and thank you for being willing to have the hard conversations. Thank you for refusing to look away. If this episode spoke to you, I invite you to visit logansvoice.com and hopemovementcoalition.com. There are resources, community, and ways to get involved. Whether you've lost someone, love someone who struggles, or just want to make a difference. Let's keep making noise. Let's keep breaking the silence. Let's fight for the ones still here and honor the ones we lost. Until next time, be kind to each other and be kind to yourself. I am Logan's voice. I am Logan's dad. And I will not be silent any longer.